Hi guys, welcome back to Cupcakes and Protein Shakes. I am your host, Savannah Sharp. So we're doing another segment that I like to call Bikini Girl Chit Chat. So I have a fellow bikini girl. So make sure you introduce your name, your age, and where you're from.
I'm Julie BATT, and I'm 55 years old, and I live in Colorado.
Okay, well, tell us about your experience. So we are bikini bodybuilder. When did the first time that you heard of this sport?
Let's see, probably in, I don't know if it was like 17, 18. So when I first started working out, wanting to be a bodybuilder, I knew about figure. So I was shooting for that. And then when bikini came out, at first was off the rack bikinis, and it wasn't something I wanted to do because it wasn't going for that muscular look. And then what happened is figure got so big, and then bikini became more streamlined and just really muscular and healthy looking. And I'm like, well, that's the look I want. That's what figure kind of used to look like, but maybe
Right.
just a bit bigger. So the gears shifted. I have done a couple figure competitions back then, and then kind of fell off the wagon for a while there. Excuse me, apparently my alarm's going off. There we go. And then came back to wanting to do it, but realizing figure was just out of my reach so
Right.
yeah, so it was in the late teens when I first heard about it, and at first I wasn't interested, but it's definitely, I'm a fan now.
Okay, awesome. So when you first started, did you coach yourself or did you work with a coach?
Well, I did. What I did when I decided to do a competition is I live in a small town in Colorado. We don't have stoplights. It's kind of like what you live with, but I do have driveways that don't get flooded.
Yeah.
But so I started calling around some of the bigger towns outside of where I live, and I would just start calling all these gyms saying, "Hey, do you have a trainer there that competes?" No. All right. Do you have a trainer that competes? And until I found one, and I wanted a female because that's who I'm more comfortable with, and she competed in figure, and so I did use her. And then when it got time to actually compete, she referred me to another trainer that did the competition prep. She didn't do that. She just
Okay.
trained people. And so I hooked up with him, and he's in Denver, which is like 4 hours away. So it was a long distance relationship kind of a thing. And that was before online coaching became big. This was in 2008. So it was a
Okay.
while
Yeah.
ago.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
that was because the bikini division didn't come out till like 2013,
I
2011,
think so.
something around
Yeah.
there. Okay.
Yep.
Well, that's an incredible journey. So what is your like athletic background? Like, did you always do sports? Like, were you always active? Like what, tell us about that.
Well, I like to think that I was always active, very active as a kid, but my parents didn't put me in sports. They didn't. My mom is from Korea, and then my dad was in the army, so he wasn't home a lot. And so my mom didn't, I don't think, understood that there was these sport things that kids could do. So I didn't do any of that. But when I got into high school, I got recruited by the PE coach to run cross country. And then I did pretty well in it. So I ran long distance and track. So I did do that for a couple of years in high school. And that's the extent of any kind of formal sports training I had. But when I met my husband, he played softball. And they needed a girl on a co-ed team one day because they were short. So they stuck me behind home plate, and then I started playing softball, and that's it.
Okay. Well, that's interesting because like I
Yeah.
feel like there's a lot of athletes that have like a lot of athletic background. There's two sides of the sport. It's like you find like being an athlete later on, or like you were
Hmm.
always born as an athlete. How has your journey of like of becoming an athlete been? Like, do you think it's something that you wish you would have done sooner? Like, do you enjoy it now?
I totally wish I'd found this earlier.
Yeah.
I did know of bodybuilding. I knew of the fitness girls. I was a fan of Monica Brandt. I had seen, Corey Everson, but it all seemed so out of reach.
Mhm.
And I've naturally thin, naturally athletic looking, and it was always kind of good enough, you know. And so I didn't feel like I didn't go after more. And I didn't understand how to, first of all. And I had no idea how hard it is, how much work it takes. And anybody that's even remotely interested in doing this, just get started, start with a trainer, because learning good form, I believe, is super key,
Yeah.
and avoids injury. Because if you get injured, you're just going to backtrack, and then you just never get anywhere. You're constantly spinning your wheels. And I did that for a while. And then, but when I found this trainer who competed, she really put me on the right track to, understand what needed to be done. And so, yeah, I would just definitely start there.
Yeah, that's what I did too. I
Yeah.
started with an in-person trainer locally.
Hmm.
And I literally was like, just take me on all the machines.
Yeah.
Tell me how this works, show me how to lift,
Hmm.
show me how to do it right, correct my form. So when I first started, I did like, I think 2 or 3 times a week at the beginning with a personal trainer. And then I would do the
Hmm.
other days on my own after we kind of figured out like how it works. And then it
Right.
went down, once I was comfortable, then 2 sessions a week. Then once I was really comfortable, 1 session a week. Then maybe it was like every other week, then like once a month that we would do a session. And then it progressed to like, I felt comfortable to do it on my own.
Right. Yeah.
So that's kind of what my evolution was, which I advise, like, if you don't have a lifting background, it's so easy to have bad form. So
Absolutely.
you just need a second eye just to be able to like help you, just small tweaks, like everyone can improve. Like even if you've been lifting for a long time, like you can always
Hmm.
improve. Um,
Sure.
but so what about like the dieting? Like how was dieting for you? Like what did you think about, like how to eat healthy before and after finding this sport?
Well, for the longest time, I thought clean eating was good enough, that kind of thing. And so when I started back in '08 too, there wasn't a big YouTube world and Instagram world. There was no Instagram. And so just going back on the form thing, I had magazines though. And when they talked about like the mind muscle connection, I was just like, what is that? And it took a while to figure that part out. And so just touching on that real quick, I wanted to mention that. But on the diet, when I met with this trainer, she sent me to the competition coach. He put us, but basically, anyway, me on a 12, like it was like 1,000 calorie to 1,200 calorie diet for 3 months. That was prep. And I ate the same thing every day for 3 months. I never want to do that again.
Oh my
It was
gosh,
crazy.
that's
And I just
bad.
think it was just the way they did it back then. I don't
Yeah.
think he was a bad coach, or anything like that. It's just what they did. But now we know so much more. And it was funny because after that first show or competition that I did, we all went out to lunch, and he's like, hey, how would everybody like it if I put you all on a post-show diet? And everybody laughed like it was a big joke. Well, guess what? Reverse dieting became a thing, years later.
Yeah.
But so first I just thought eat less, run more. That was my thought process.
Mhm.
And when I did that first competition, I went from like 125 pounds to 109 pounds in that 3 month time frame. And I
Wow.
was just this little skinny thing. And
And how tall are you?
honest, I'm 5'5".
Okay.
And honestly, I loved it, and I liked I loved the structure, and I liked having a meal plan and following it and not having to think about it, and I didn't deviate. But clearly it wasn't good for my body, and post show,
Yeah.
big blow up, big rebound. And honestly, I think it scarred me mentally and emotionally. I never wanted to do it again. I mean, I tried. I wanted to do the competition part, but I didn't want to go back to that diet.
Mhm.
And I thought that was the only way to do it. So over time, I found transformation challenges. I learned about macros through one of those. Started to learn about flexible dieting and then the reverse dieting. So now it's a much more open world of foods that you can have
Yeah.
as you get healthier, stronger, leaner. It doesn't have to be the same boring thing all the time
Yeah.
and such low calories. So anyone that goes on those low calories, if you're not 4 foot nothing, you probably should rethink what they're suggesting you do.
Yeah, it gets like it gets rough too. And like if you start dieting for too like long periods of time, like your body starts to fight those low calories. So at a certain point, like your body will not respond to low calories and high cardio. Like it is
Hmm.
that's what happened to me. Like I dieted for a whole year, and that was not a good, that's not good for you. You
No,
need
it's not.
you need to have periods of not being in a deficit to grow and to function for hormone health, for longevity, for energy and strength and stuff like that too. So it all is connected to
Exactly.
a lot of the diet piece.
Yeah.
And what about like posing? Like, what was your experience? Because you got to pose for figure and then
Right.
learning a new routine for bikini.
Bikini is a whole new animal. It's a whole different animal.
Yeah.
It's so hard. It's so crazy. I thought, you know, and figure was hard too, but honestly, I thought I could just wing it and get away with it. Well, you don't just wing anything in this sport in any division. And so getting coaching is definitely an important thing. And I have to say that now I get the benefit of YouTube and Instagram.
Yeah.
I follow Adam Bonilla, and I'm watching their YouTube and Instagram tips that they're putting out there. So currently, I'm not using a coach, partly because the sport is expensive
Yep.
and I have a budget and I had to manage that.
Yep.
And this is the first time I bought a suit just for me, which I got through you
Yeah.
at Angel Competition Bikinis, and I love it. And but I wanted to spend the money there,
Yeah.
and so I put a chunk there, and this particular, I'm getting ready for the Mile High Showdown in Denver in June, and I wanted to spend, or I'm sorry, so I wanted to spend the money on the suit and just kind of go all out in
Yeah.
that regard and see, and it's just for fun for me to get up there and see what I can do myself. And then I am toying with the idea of getting a coach post show to help me through an improvement season so that I can come back next year. Because I do think I want to do it again. I'm already planning on doing it again.
Okay.
And I could use some guidance. And that's where I know a trainer and a coach can really help me. Because, like, right now, there are days I think, oh, this is never going to happen. And if I had a coach that could just, I could call and say, what's happening, and they can reassure me we're on the right track. I'm sort of figuring it out this way and that way. So if you want to get serious about the sport, I definitely recommend getting a coach to help with that, because there's so much involvement. And the posing, okay, that's what you were talking about. So I'm not using anybody, I'm using YouTube, and I've actually I mimic you. I actually watch your videos several times and over, and I'm keeping it super, just for me, basic. It's just
Yeah.
the basic moves, nothing fancy. And next time I can go a little bit more in depth, because I'm not going to have that cost of a suit.
Right.
And or I've got the shoes, I've got the jewelry, I've got
Yeah.
all that initial investment out of the way, and
Mhm.
then I can start budgeting for the next time around.
Yeah.
And I do want to get some help with that, because it's so hard, the posing, the arching the back, um,
Mhm.
keeping your feet to little movements, trying to be graceful, which is not in my vocabulary, or something people would use to describe me in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, the posing is hard. It takes me a long time. Like I felt like when I first started, I thought I was like, I'm gonna nail this. If you look at my first routine, it's so funny. It was like so cringeworthy. Like I did all of the bad, like I had my hands like ooh, all up in here and was just
I
like
love it.
I didn't care. I was like, look at me. And just some of the movements that I used to do, I'm like, oh my gosh, someone needed to help me. But I'm the same way. So like this past prep, I didn't use a posing coach. I just used my coach for
Mhm.
like some small tweaks because like I am, I think like you can look at your routine and you can point out where you don't like you can see, oh yeah, I don't like how that movement looks. Or you can watch the pros and you can look at their routine, look at your routine and make tweaks. And you don't necessarily need a posing coach or you don't necessarily need a coach to do that. but it is very helpful because you do get prep goggles at a certain point where it's, unless you are the type of person that is very like can look at yourself objectively, which is, it's really hard to do so. Like if you step back from your physique and you look at it objectively and don't judge yourself and you're just like, what do I see? What do I need to improve? And that takes a long time to do without trying to overdo it or underdo
Yes.
it. Like you
Yes.
might think, oh, I look really good because this is the best I've ever looked, but I still need to do this, 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 and this. Or you look at yourself and you're like, oh my gosh, everything's horrible. I need to do everything. And sometimes you could run
Right.
yourself into the ground. So there's a balance of like pulling it back. Um,
Mm-hmm.
that definitely happens to me where I think I like to predict what check-ins are going to go like I like to guess what if I'm going to get cardio raised or calories decreased, and a lot of times when I think we're going to push hard we don't, and sometimes it's the opposite. So it's great to have a second opinion, or just like a trusted person in your life of like, hey, just hold me accountable. Like that's all you need. It's just a little push on the hard days too. How many
Yes.
competitions have you done so far?
So I did two. I did one in 2008 and another one in 2014. Um, I absolutely loved my first experience. It was, was hard, and I was nervous and I shook like a leaf up on stage, and my posing was just, like you said, cringeworthy. But I had a blast, and I did the Mile High Showdown, and it was, let's see, I did masters. So I got fifth out of seven ladies, and which I was really happy about because I got a little bronze lady.
Yeah.
And then I did the open, and I got 12th out of 21, which at that time was the biggest class they'd had in history for them at
Wow.
that time. And so that was like third call out. And I didn't know anything about call out. I was just like, oh, I could
Right.
still, I went back to my hotel thinking, oh, I think I did pretty good. Maybe I'll
Yeah.
get top five. And I didn't
Right.
know anything
Right.
about it. And but it was a blast. To come in the middle of the pack looking like I did. When I got there, okay, so we had a coaches meeting the night before, and I went there. And as I was the first one there, because I'm always on time and early, and as the ladies started to come in and I could just see their physiques, I was like, oh no, what
Uh,
am I doing here? I shouldn't be here. I don't look anything like any of them. The coach goes through, we do our little walkthroughs and stuff. And then he says, okay, Julie, drink water. And then he tells everybody else, stop drinking water. And she's like, he's like, Julie, go get a steak or something like that. And everybody's like, why does she get to eat and drink and we can't? And it's like, well, Julie's like this big and no muscle, and you guys are all looking great. He
yeah.
didn't say that, but I know now that's what was going on. And but I got really intimidated. And but I wouldn't change it for the world. I still had a blast. And then I did one in 14. So I live in a little, like I said, a little town, but in a town near us, a city near us, about an hour away, they were having a local show. So I thought, I'll go do it. I can sleep at home. Cost won't be much. I already had a suit that I had, bought a used one. So I went and did that one. And I was like second out of four for masters and second out of, I think, four for open. And, but I loved it again. But I did the same thing where I didn't know any better. So I dieted down, starving myself. And towards the end, I panicked. So all I did was just cardio, 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 and cut calories, binged, cut calories, and then did this show. And I didn't get as thin as I had before. I did it all by myself. I just did everything wrong that you could probably do wrong. And I think I just, because it was a small show, did place where I placed.
Mhm.
But after that, I've learned about macros, and things have been different. I feel healthier, more energetic. I can eat more calories. I have more muscle than I did back then. So really immersing yourself in the learning process is really key.
Yeah.
And you have to balance that with the comparison process too, because you get caught up in, okay, well, Savannah's doing this, or Ashley's doing this, or so-and-so's
Yeah.
doing that. And I'm doing this competition with my girlfriend, and I'm like, she's doing this and she's getting these results, and maybe I should do this. And but we're different.
Yes.
We're built different, and we have
Yeah.
to find that and not go down that path of that comparison.
I'm very glad that
Comparison,
you brought that up, but because I mean, I think every competitor does it. I've done it. I've made it a point to pull back for less because in the beginning of my fitness journey, that's what I was doing. I was like, okay, I'm searching Instagram, I'm searching hashtag.
mhm,
Who's gonna be there? Who's looking
yeah,
tall? Who's looking tight? Am I on track? If this girl looks super lean, I need to be leaner. I don't know about this. Or you look and you're like, I think I'm gonna do pretty good. And
mhm,
like you don't know if you are like if in the comparison game you look to the pros and the Olympians and you say, okay, I am 8 weeks out, and you search and you go, okay, what should I be doing for 8 weeks out? Okay, and then you see, well, they're doing this and they're doing that, and it's like not correlated, because unless you have the exact same like body competition or like where you're at in your journey, like your metabolism, everything about you and someone else is so different. Like your dieting age, how long you've been training, how long you've been dieting, like what foods digest well with you has nothing to do with anyone else's
mhm,
prep. Like that is why like this sport is so hard and fun, because I think a lot of girls do get caught up in that comparison game. So you can like if you're backstage and you psych yourself out, that will show up on your physique because you don't know how people are going to actually look
yeah,
on stage. Like you can see these great Instagram
yep,
pictures. You could see everyone, even at check-ins, who looks amazing, but they might get nervous too. They might, look
mhm,
great with their clothes on, you see like delts and shoulders and stuff,
right,
what you can see, but when you actually like get down to it, maybe they're not balanced. Maybe you just saw a shoulder and then they don't have the lower body or something like that, or their posing was just awful, or their stage look didn't come together right, or their suit color wasn't right, or whatever it is. Like you just don't know. And so what I've done is I've really tried to pull back from comparing my prep to anything else. And sometimes that is taking a step back from social media. That is,
yeah,
sometimes it's not posting about stuff. Sometimes it's just like, I have to just let you guys prep. Everyone else is prepping over here, doing whatever you're doing. And I just have to stop thinking about it and overthinking of like, oh, my friend's doing 3 hours of cardio and I'm only doing 45 minutes. Am I doing enough? Like I just let my coach stress. I've just
exactly,
stopped stressing. And I said, you know what? Here's my plan. I followed my plan. I can go to bed at night and sleep well.
right,
There's no stress. And
yeah,
um, I don't know. I think there's something to be said about the journey instead of the outcome, because it's only one day and like people peak
mhm,
differently and your body's really sensitive. So sometimes you don't peak right. And it takes like the slightest, you can be off just a hair, and then you're not going to do well that day. Or someone could be really on one day, but 364 days of the year, you could beat this person. And then they just have their best day ever. They peak perfectly, or whatever happens. They just have a magical day and it's their day. So
mhm. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
That's where that whole coach aspect of it is really important. And I know that when I do this again, that I will
Yeah.
definitely look into that because I don't
Yeah.
understand the nuances of how the body works. And what I want to do too is I thought, well, fine, get one for the last 3 months before you do a competition. And I'm like, no, you need to do it before then because that coach needs time to learn how you respond to cardio, to food, to sleep, lack of sleep, to
Yeah.
your lifestyle. Because
Yeah.
if you're working full time or you have kids, there's just those factors do
Right.
have a play in every single day of what you're doing.
What do you do during the day? Like, what does a day in your life look like?
Well, right now, I'm a retired nail tech. So what
Uh,
happened is, I'm just going to give a little background here. 2009, my father-in-law fell ill, or no, not 19, and he fell ill, and then by 2000 and the end of 2020, both my in-laws had passed away. So we had their property and our property needed to be cared for. So I stopped doing the nail stuff and my hands were hurting. And we took over, we sold our house and moved into my in-laws' house. So that whole process was just this big move, cleaning out their stuff, moving our stuff in. And we went from like, let's just say a 3,000 square foot house to a 1,200 square foot house. So we did a lot of purging. Like, oh my goodness. And it was hard for me because I wasn't planning on purging this soon. But so my job these days is to take care of our animals. We have 3 horses and 3 dogs. Well, 2 dogs now. And we also lost a horse last year. So, and then just I'm still purging or organizing. But my day starts off with just I usually like to do the gym thing in the morning. If I don't train early in the day, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So I'm doing that first thing. Then I come back and take care of everything that needs to be done around here. And right now it involves a cardio again later in the day. So that type of thing. But I just manage the property, we irrigate and grow hay and, manage the paperwork and just those kind of daily things. And it's very time consuming. It's amazing to me. But then I also started working with some people online just to help them get healthier. I decided after watching my in-laws kind of lose their independence as they aged, I wanted to, then it became sort of a calling, if you will, to want to help people age well. And so I'm trying to get people to, I'm reaching out to people I know. I want to work with the people of where I live now and just see if I can just help them get a little healthier so that they don't have to get into their 80s and need help getting bathroom, to take a shower. I want people to live into their 90s and be independent and not need and keep their dignity. So, but we got to start now. We've got to be healthy now to have that later. And just in the competition side of things isn't about that goal, but it's also a platform that can be used to get attention to bring them around to that healthy side. And that's what I'm trying to do. So I work with a couple of people there too. So I do check-ins. I'm not a competition coach. I'm not, I am a personal trainer, but I'm not working with people one-on-one because I got my certification right when COVID hit.
Oh, nice.
So I had just started working with people. We all got shut down.
Yeah.
And then when we got reopened, by then I was in the full blown move. So I just didn't go back to it. And I didn't want to have to shut it down again because we didn't know what was going to happen. But my hope is to do it again. I'm currently getting certified in group classes. So I want to teach dance aerobics type things because I love it. Again, I'm not very coordinated, but it's a good way, again, to reach out to people and have them come in and learn how to become more flexible, get aerobic health, to have fun. And so I'm trying to encourage people around here to come get with me twice a week and we will just dance away.
I love
So
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
because I just don't want to see people lose their dignity. That
Yeah.
was the hardest part about watching what happened to our family members.
Yeah, I had a revelation about that before I started my fitness journey. And I mean, I'm still considered like young-ish. I'm like 26, but I just like started fitness journey because I was like, yeah, I want to live till I'm like 100. And if I'm not healthy now, like that's going to take so many years off your life later on. And the money that I spend on competing, I justify it because I know that it's going to save me in future medical bills later on. And I've always looked at it that way of like, yeah, it's expensive, but your health is like, it's priceless. Like, what would you like if you're dying because something that you could have done in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, whatever age, like, don't you think you would have wanted to
Right.
do it now? And it's just something as simple as like going to the grocery store and making one choice. Like, it doesn't have to be
Mm-hmm.
complicated. And I think a lot of people too think being healthy is like, it's hard and they complicate it and it's not easy and it's, whatever they think it is. But like, once you start to actually learn how it works, it's very easy and you can still have all of these fun foods. You can still incorporate alcohol, cheat meals, desserts. Like we're not, when you see like bodybuilders and you see Olympians, like it is the extreme of the extreme, but that's not what every single person
Exactly.
needs to do. Like, it could just be like drinking a little bit of water. It could be just like eating some vegetables. Like, it doesn't need to be hard. And so, yeah, so I definitely think like bodybuilding is a great platform just to get more people involved in health and fitness. Because it's
Mhm.
flashy, it's sparkly, it's shreds and
Yeah.
lines and,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it's a great, the transformation process, I think, is dramatic. So people around you that
Mhm.
have seen you go through, like, holy cow, I saw you when you were this amount of pounds and now, look at you, you're stage lean, like, wow, it's like incredible to actually see someone, go through it. And yeah, so it's very cool thing that, this sport can, I think it is a great tool for, it's like, I think everyone should try it once to get out of their comfort zone, just to see, if they like it and see what they're capable of. Because, dieting is pretty hard.
Well, and it's going to teach you about your body
Yeah.
and how it responds. And when you
Yeah.
can understand that, you can be a healthier person and
Yeah.
understand that it's okay to have cupcakes and to have lasagna and not feel guilty about it. It's, I
Yeah.
call them fun foods. That's what I call, I don't have good and bad foods. I have, um,
Yeah.
just fun foods along with my regular foods. And food is energy. And
Yeah.
I'm trying to teach that to some people as well because people just have such a bad connotation about carbs. And I'm just like, look, carbs
Yeah.
are fun and
Okay.
fuel. And
Right here.
yeah,
This
there
is
you
my
go.
this is my
Exactly.
post-workout oats. It's like I'm trying to make sure I don't miss my optimal window. So I have
Right.
protein in my oats, and I'm just like, I have carbs all the time. Sometimes I cut them, sometimes I increase them. They're not bad.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the source of the carb doesn't matter. Like, I can pick whatever I want post-workout. I had cookie cereal last week. I'm doing strawberries sometimes. I'm doing rice cakes sometimes, oats. Like, it doesn't really matter. It's just like being able to track like input versus output and just being a
Yes.
little bit mindful and not just kind of saying, screw it, and just like eating like whatever until like
Right.
you're just like so full. You're just like, oh my gosh, that feeling is just not a good, that's not good for anybody.
Well, and having learned about macros and how to track them and how it's really helped me is been fun because I learned what are pure carbs and pure fats and
Yeah.
so on those days I'm coming up short on my carbs, I go get those rice cakes out and it's like I plug in half a rice cake. Oh, that's
Right.
not, I can have more. Okay,
Yeah.
now what about 3/4 of a rice cake? And then that hits me at my goals. And then I can have 3/4 of a rice cake.
Yeah.
And life shouldn't be that tedious, but what it has done is it's
Yeah.
taught me about carbs and fats and proteins. And then when I'm not in prep, I tell, so
Yeah.
I think that's a good thing to learn about how foods work.
Yeah. And it's important to how which foods work with you.
Hmm.
Like, I
Hmm.
think
Sure.
I don't think people realize how good you can feel if you cut out certain foods that don't
Hmm.
work with your body. Like, I feel like through
Right.
bodybuilding, I could really start to feel how my energy was different with the different foods I would consume. Like, the amount of energy I would have from like a more healthier item versus like a candy bar or a protein bar or something, like it just gave me this different feeling, and I started to feel good, and I didn't have that like constant bloating. Like, I feel like there's so many people that just walk around
Yeah.
constantly just bloated, just like all day long. They're just eating all these like sugars and dairies and glutens, and they just don't realize how good that they can feel if
Right.
they just like experimented with themselves a little bit.
Yes. Yeah. You don't know what you don't know. And then they don't even know it until they do try something different. Maybe they run out of some food and can't get it, or they get sick and they don't have it. And then all of a sudden they're like, wow, I don't feel bloated anymore. I wonder why. I haven't had X for so long. I wonder if that had anything to do with it.
Mhm.
Kind of a thing. And it's I love seeing that light bulb go off on people's. I have a cousin I've been working with, and she's like, I didn't know how much fat and calories were in an avocado. And she just thought it was a healthy food, and so she would just eat a whole avocado a lot. And now she's
Yeah,
like, well, I can have avocado. I just not going to have it as often.
right.
So it's fun to see that light bulb go on and
It is.
people learn that.
It is.
Yeah.
Okay, so what about the training? Like, what does your split look like? And like, how many days a week do you train and how many off days do you take a week?
Well, on average, I would train 5 to 6 days a week.
Okay.
And right now I'm doing 7, but I scale it. So one day it's typically just light stuff. But when I'm not doing this prep, I wasn't doing cardio at all. I just walked maybe 20 to 40 minutes most days. Working around my property, I have to walk. I feed animals. I'm just out and about a lot. But I go to the gym 5 to 6 days. And right now I'm focused on the glutes. So I'm doing glutes 3 times a week, delts 3 times a week. And then, and I'm only doing back and chest 1 day a week. I don't think I need to develop them a whole lot right now, but I still have strength in them. I built that up in the past. And then, I just hit the biceps and triceps when I do an arm day. And then, certainly my legs are, and the other days I'm not doing the glutes, I'm hitting the quads, so I kind of hit the lower body right now 5 days a week, which seems like a lot, but when you're really just focusing on a certain muscle group and isolate it, it doesn't necessarily overtrain, and I'm only
Yeah.
doing it for a short period of time. It's just been this last month, and I only have 1 more month left before the competition. And then I'll probably go back to a more regular split, in the sense that I'll do back probably a little bit more and get that chest day in there a couple more times too. So
And then, so are you just walking for cardio, or are you doing like additional cardio now?
I'm just starting to increase my intensity by picking up the speed. So my husband and I call it woggling. So I just go out and I walk and jog. And so I'll jog for a certain distance, and then I'm like, okay, it's time to walk. But I am supposed to be starting, I kept telling myself to start some interval training twice a week, but I really hate it. And I
I know,
just
I
don't
hate
want to
it
do
too.
it.
I hate hit
I
cardio.
just, exactly. And I'm just like, I don't want to do it. So I was supposed to start that last week, and I didn't do a single day of it. So I will start implementing that this last month.
Mhm.
And but I only do it twice a week. And that's why I keep telling myself, it's only twice a week. Just get it done. But walking's nice. I live in the country. It's beautiful here. That's when I do all my talking to my friends. And I don't know, hit cardio just doesn't allow that.
Yeah, hit cardio is rough. I will
Yeah.
probably start adding hit cardio back soon, because I always do it in my off season when my calories are high. And then it's like starting to do it sucks, but then once you like start it,
Hmm.
then it's fine. But it's not my preference.
Yeah.
I don't like it, but I
Yeah.
know I
Yeah.
know it has its time and place, and it actually does work.
Hmm.
But it just, like, I
Right.
feel like I need a nap after I do hit cardio, just because it's so intense. And if I walk, I feel like I still could do other
Absolutely.
stuff um,
Right.
throughout the day. Okay, so you are
Yeah. Yeah.
how
And
many weeks out? You're 4 weeks out?
I am, I'm 5 weeks out
Okay.
as of, I think, yesterday, or no, as of today, five.
Okay.
Five. And but it's really like 4 and then peak week. So
Okay.
it's 5 total,
Yeah.
but I would say 4 to really get anything else done.
Yeah.
And I'm just going into, I cut my carbs or my calories a little bit, and I'm going to be doing that again this week, probably starting tomorrow. And then I may do that just incrementally each week based on how things are going. So, but yeah, it's been a fun process. And I would, like you, I would recommend anybody just try it to see, just to learn and experience it, and feeling the changes. It really is exciting. I just love getting up and seeing the differences, a new shadow here, a new, dip in the shoulder or something like that, or maybe a little bit leaner in the face. And it's fun,
It's fun.
so yeah, I'm excited about that, and I would highly recommend it to anybody that wants to give it a go.
Yeah. What about like hard days? Like, do you have hard days in prep, or is it pretty easy for you?
So far, it's been pretty easy. I would say just last week, I started to notice a distinct energy drop on
Yeah.
certain days of the week. So I went outside to I'm cutting down trees right now. And I went out there to do that. And I realized I'm walking awfully slow. And
Mm.
these clippers and this chainsaw feel really heavy. And before it'd be nothing.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't think I'm going to be able to do this for very long. So I'm starting to really have to focus on pacing myself, doing things early in the day,
Yeah.
get it done. And I'm allowed, if I get everything done by, 5 or 6 o'clock at night, to just, that's it. I don't
Yeah.
have to do anything else. I
Yeah.
try not to put things off where I have to do something like cardio after
Yeah.
7 p.m. because I don't want to.
No.
And if I, so yeah, just get it done early. But any big projects that I had, I'm definitely putting off till after June. I'm just like, that can wait till June. If
Yeah.
that doesn't have to happen right now, I'm not going to worry about it.
Yeah.
So there's no point in adding that stuff to things. I'm just keeping
Right.
basic hygiene at the house, and everybody's fed. They're not going to die, that kind of thing. And
Yeah.
and it, yeah. So no, and I want to plant flowers. And I keep thinking, just wait till June. You don't have to go out and garden right now. It just would just suck energy you don't have right now. So,
I know. You
but it's
don't
definitely
realize
starting
it.
to go down. Yeah.
It's
It,
it's
it,
a progression. And then suddenly you're
mhm.
like, oh my gosh, like you're like, this is hard. I think one day
Yeah,
you just wake up and you're like, wow, this sucks. Like I don't feel very good.
it's
And then you're
literally
like,
what happens.
yeah,
Yeah, that's,
it's just it's a
yeah,
part of dieting, and it's a part of doing intense workouts and doing a lot
yeah,
of them. And that's what prep is. It's not supposed to be
yeah,
it's not supposed to be fun. So if you're having a fun prep, you maybe need
yeah.
to
Maybe
pick up
things
the
aren't
pace. Yeah.
right, right.
I mean, there's some girls out there that are like unicorns and they just like don't have to
Hmm.
do cardio and they just like have naturally big muscles, but that's not the case for a lot of us. So,
Yeah, that's not
um,
me. That's not me.
yeah.
And I've also I've noticed starting, I think about a week and a half ago, I mentioned to my husband, hey, I'm going into this place now where I'm going to be probably a little hangry from time to time.
Mm,
So I'm going to be really try to be very communicative to you. Like when I say, today's kind of a low energy day, I just need you to recognize that and
mhm.
not, prod me into anything that I don't want to do or that kind of thing. Just
Yeah.
know, or maybe just stay away from me for a little bit because I don't want to say something that I didn't actually mean, but
Mm,
it was just that, hunger, hangry moment or something. And because he doesn't deserve that. I'm doing this to me, and I want to, and this is a choose to deprive yourself of fun foods.
no, I know.
And so yeah, I know you know, and it's
Oh,
it's a
yeah.
crazy sport.
It
It's
is
a
a crazy
sport, and
sport.
it's about willpower and discipline, and it can teach you so many things that carries over to other parts of your life.
Yes.
Um, so that's what I like about it too. I have definitely become more organized, better with time management. That really helped me when I was in business. Was always making my appointments, keeping them, being on time, getting them done. When you don't get something done, there's a consequence.
Mhm.
You don't do your cardio, there's a consequence. You don't pay your bill, there's a consequence. So
Yeah.
it's something anybody could learn a lot of life lessons from.
Yeah, it was really helped me be more efficient with time and like realize like sometimes it's easy to procrastinate, but then that stress build of like having to get the
Hmm.
task done, or it's always in the back of your mind, like the further you push your training or cardio off of like, I'll do it later, I'll do it later, I'll do it later. Like later comes fast. And if it's
Hmm.
later, sometimes you run out of time. You're going to run out of time. You're probably going to run out of
Yep.
energy before you run out of time. There will like you could always stay up
Yep.
later, but you have to realize at a certain point, like when you prep, you got to like manage your energy and you got to manage like your sleep and like what's most important to you. Like training is
Hmm.
important, your diet should be important, getting enough sleep is important, like keeping a job is important, like paying your bills is important. So there's certain things that you just like
Absolutely.
have to remember that like I always get very optimistic when I go into a prep, but I try to pull back on things that I'm doing and just try not to overschedule myself. When
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
know that I'm getting close to show, I'm like, all I really have energy for is my training. And that's really it. Like the weekend
Yeah.
time, it's going to bed extra early and getting some extra sleep if I can. Um, it's not really like it's not the most fun and exciting thing to do. Is not like prep isn't like I don't think people realize how not exciting it is. Like the
Yeah.
16 weeks of training and cardio and being tired and go to bed early, like it looks great on Instagram once you're done and once you're shredded, but the process of
Right.
doing it is
Right.
not very exciting. Like it's not, it's like,
It's very mundane,
it is.
repetitive,
Yeah,
and but I don't know. I like repetitive.
I do
I
too.
definitely. I don't. I kind of thrive on that. It's the
I do
same thing
too.
with the food.
Yeah.
I eat the same breakfast basically 330 days out of the year.
Yeah.
Love, and I eat it every day. And the only times I don't is when I'm traveling, and I
Yeah.
can't make it.
Yep.
But I just don't get tired of things. And but when I do, I recognize it and you switch it up,
Yeah.
and then you can go back later when you're ready or not.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, absolutely. So I see, that's what I get out of it as well.
Yeah. Okay. So what about like motivation? Like what keeps you motivated?
Oh, I think I just feel very grateful and fortunate um, to to be alive and to be here and to get to do this. Um, I had a health scare back in '06, and I don't know. I just think things just changed for me there. And I don't always want to go to the gym. And that's where that whole, discipline comes in. And there have been times I don't go. It's like, well, today's maybe and I don't do it. I'm not perfect and I don't get after it all the time. There are days that I fail at it, but it's been minimized, mostly because I'm just grateful to be able to go and do it. And I love the way I feel. And then I started out as a vanity thing. I started out because I wanted to look a certain way, no doubt about it. And as I age, vanity comes in more and more into play on a daily basis. But I started to like the way I felt. I can go to the store, pick up a 55-pound bag of dog food, and basically get it up on my shoulder to throw it in the cart, and I love that. I don't have to ask for help. When the checkout people ask me, do you need help loading this in your car? I'm like, no, I got it, you know,
Mhm.
and I love that feeling. And I want to be able to do that for another 20 years,
Mhm.
maybe 15, we'll see, but that's what I think really gets me going. Working on a little farm that we have here too, you've got to be able to do things. I can't there aren't people that I can't afford to hire somebody to come do everything that needs to be done. I need to be able to do it. And I
Mhm.
need to have mobility, strength, and kind of the mental fortitude because not all of it's fun
Right. It's
either.
what
Yeah.
about like recovery?
Yeah.
What do you do for recovery?
I sit and watch Netflix. As far as that goes, I know rest days are rest times, if you will. Like I said, at night, right about 5 o'clock, I really start to mentally, physically wind down.
Mhm.
And it's plenty of time for me to recover. I'm in bed by 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock on some nights. And I get up at 5-ish. So it's ample sleep. That seems to be working for me. But it took a while to figure that out. I used to be go, 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 stay up till 11, get up at, 5 or 6. And I used to commute for my job. So it was an hour drive. And I had to do it then. But it took its toll on me. The weekends I would be worthless. I didn't get things done around the property that needed to get done. So, now I just naturally recover. I can't push myself too hard because it I have the consequences will hit me no matter what. So sleep is my biggest number one tool for recovery. And I didn't understand that when I was younger. But in the last 4 years, I've learned the value of that. So I'm no longer the, 4 hours I'm on the go, kind of a thing. And then supplements, just taking the right things post workout. Fuel, I think, is huge. I don't, you know, if it's a protein shake or, some sort of fast digest meal, that's a big something I don't miss when after a lift session.
Yeah.
Cardio, of course, I don't worry about it too much, but if you are going to lift, I think that helps with recovery.
Mhm. I agree. Like post-workout training is like critical. And that's something that like I've really done this past, I guess, couple of years is just like prioritize your post workout meal. Like
Hmm.
this is, I literally right before we got on, like I trained my legs really, really hard. So I'm like, I am not going to wait an hour. Like I need to fuel that energy, and I want to put that carbs and protein into myself so it can start to repair instead of pushing it off. So I like, it's really important that I don't miss that, like, you know, within the 30-minute window after you're working out, like you are getting some type of source of carbs, some type of protein, because like that's when your muscle needs to repair. Like I just went and destroyed it and just like broke all these fibers down. So now it needs to like recover itself so it can grow. And I've never been scared to eat. And I do think we run into a lot of competitors who are scared to eat and scared to gain weight and they're off season. But I don't really feel that way anymore. I think in the beginning of my journey, like I was a little bit scared of what would happen if you ate more, but now it's like, why would you be scared to have more energy? Like, why would you be scared of energy? That's all food is.
And it's just a matter of knowing that and understanding that. And that's what people just, we've been brainwashed the opposite direction about health and fat loss. And we're not taught the importance of keeping and maintaining the lean muscle that you do have. If you can just keep what you have into your 70s, picture a 70-year-old, the stereotypical 70-year-old, but it doesn't have to be this broken down person. It can be a more vital person. And we're seeing it more because, people are learning, but it's just this switch that just needs to get turned on. And I would just want to go turn them all on.
I know.
With everybody.
Yeah. So what would you say for someone that says, oh, I would love to do show, but I think I'm too old for that?
I'd say, no, you're never too old, especially now. I mean, these master's classes. I just learned that they're doing a master's, NPC master's competition. I think it's in November, and it's for a pro card. And I'm just like, oh, if only I were ready for that. So maybe next year, November. So that's where the little red flags are starting to go up and say, hey, let's think about that. But no, I've seen too many women in their 60s right now competing, and they're beautiful and strong. And, that's, I find that inspiring and motivational, and I want to be that. I'm 55, so why not at 65? Why couldn't I be that? And so that's what this is, kind of where it's taking me, and I love that process of it. And I'm not there yet, but I'm gonna get there. Time's gonna go by no matter what, so I may as well just keep doing what I'm doing and see where it takes me.
I love it. Okay, so fun question though. I want to make sure I ask this because sometimes I forget. Are you team cupcake or are you team protein shake?
I'm cupcakes all the way. Cupcakes all the way.
And if you could be a cupcake, what would you be?
Oh my goodness. So my absolute favorite is so boring, but it's white cake with white buttercream frosting, no sprinkles. I don't like the sprinkles. But I would do any, like red velvet, chocolate. I just love them all. I really do. I'm terrible. That's my kryptonite. It's my fun food that I will reward myself whenever I have the opportunity to do so, because I love it and I'll never give it up. That's what I try to tell people too. I don't have to give up my cupcakes. And my daughter bought me a calendar one year, and it was just all cupcakes every month. It was a different kind of cupcake. I used it for 2 years. I took out all the dates and redid them so I could.
Oh, that's awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
I love sweets. I thought, everyone thinks when you start eating healthy, and like now that I'm like a bodybuilder and stuff like that, they're just like, oh, you probably like don't even like sweets anymore. And I'm like, that is not accurate. If anything, I have an even worse sweet tooth. It's just I can hold myself back, but I still want it. I don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Like, I still always, everything sounds good. And so anytime like I can have it, which I'm getting close to the point in my off season where I can start incorporating a little bit of like extra fun. I'm still like reverse dieting a little bit. So it's a process, but that I had to learn. If you just hold out and you just stay on your reverse diet, eventually, slowly but surely, you can start adding in the fun foods again, instead of just like binge yourself like after
Absolutely.
the show. Yeah.
Right.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there
Yeah.
anything else that we didn't get to talk about that you wish I would have asked you about?
Oh, I don't think so. I just was very excited to get to come on,
I
and
know.
thank you for having me. And
Of
I've been
course.
listening to you for so long, and I've just, like I said, just want to, being 55, that question about the age thing. I do believe age is a number and it tells you something, but you have to understand it and work with it, and you can still do everything you want to do. You just have to pace yourself and build up the abilities, the strength to do it.
Yeah,
So,
I agree.
thank you.
Of course. I
Thanks for having
appreciate
me
you
on
coming
here.
on.